You know that feeling when you're scrolling through endless options for a spotting scope, trying not to drop your hard-earned cash on something that ends up gathering dust? I've been there, especially when the next thing on the list promises HD optics and rugged versatility, but the specs look the same as every other high-power scope out there. The big question is, will this one actually deliver the kind of crisp, long-range views you need for birding, hunting, or just watching the sunrise over a mountain ridge? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. In the next few minutes I'll walk through what makes the STS 80HD with 2550 Swarovski optics stand out, who will get the most bang for their buck, and where the hidden trade-offs lie, so you can decide whether it's worth putting on your gear list. First off, let's talk about what the STS 80HD actually is. It's a compact, high-definition spotting scope that packs a 25 to 50 times zoom range into a body that's designed to survive a day in the field. The HD label isn't just marketing fluff. Swarovski's high-definition glass is engineered to keep color fidelity and contrast sharp even at the top end of that zoom. In practice, that means if you're out on a wetland at dawn and you spot a great blue heron half a mile away, you can crank it up to 50 and still see individual feather edges without the image turning into a mushy gray blob. Now, who really benefits from that kind of power? If you're an avid birdwatcher who chases waterfowl, raptors, or those elusive warblers that stick close to the canopy, the extra reach can be a game changer. I've seen hunters use a similar setup to scan open fields for distant buck movement. The clarity at 45 makes it easier to differentiate a buck from a doe or even a stray deer in the distance. Photographers who need a quick visual reference before setting up a long lens shot also find the scope handy. You can scout a distant peak or a distant subject and decide if it's worth the composition time. On the flip side, if you're a casual weekend hiker who just wants a quick glance at a scenic overlook, the STS 80HD might feel overkill. The weight and size, while still portable compared with larger astronomical scopes, are noticeable once you start hiking with a backpack for a full day. You'll be holding a piece of equipment that's built to withstand rough handling, and that durability comes with a heft that can fatigue your arm if you're not using a tripod. For someone who only needs a modest 10 to 15 times zoom for nearby trails, a smaller binocular or a lower power spotting scope will likely serve you better without the extra bulk. Speaking of durability, the rugged badge on this model is earned. The outer housing uses a magnesium alloy that resists dents, and the waterproof sealing means you can leave it out in the rain without worrying about fogging up. I've read that the focus knob turns smoothly even when you're wearing gloves, which is a subtle but important detail when you're out in cold weather. In real-world use, that translates to fewer interruptions. You won't be stuck fiddling with a stiff focus ring while the light changes, and you won't have to dry the scope out of a sudden downpour before you can see anything. Sharpness is another headline claim, and it's backed up by the optical design. The HD glass delivers a bright, high-contrast image that holds up surprisingly well at 50. Most users of similar power ranges complain about a loss of brightness as you crank up the zoom, but the STS 80HD seems to retain enough light to keep the view usable even in low-light twilight. That said, it's not a miracle worker. If you're trying to view a distant object at the very edge of daylight, you'll still notice some dimming. The bottom line is you get a clearer, more detailed image than a typical 2550 scope at the same price point, but you still need decent ambient light for the best experience. Versatility is a buzzword that often masks real compromises, so let's break that down. The scope's 2550 range means you can dial down to 25 for a wider field of view when you're scanning an area, and then zoom right in for a tight shot on a specific bird or animal. The interchangeable eyepiece lets you adjust eye relief, which is a nice touch if you wear glasses. However, the trade-off is that the higher magnification narrows the field of view considerably, so tracking moving subjects at 50 can be a challenge. If you're used to a broader view for sweeping landscapes, you might need to spend a few extra seconds finding your target each time you switch zoom levels. Now, price. Swarovski optics sit at the premium end of the market, and this model is no exception. It's an investment, and that's where the value calculation comes in. If you already own a decent pair of binoculars and you're looking for that extra reach for specific hunting seasons or birding.